All right, let's taste some Syrah.
All right.
So next up, we've got 2012 Fields Family Syrah, and I know this is made in tiny quantities.
This is very, very small production. This is less than 175 cases. Fields Family is one of our small boutique wineries here in Lodi. Again, this is from the Macomb River AVA, but this is estate-grown fruit. It is just a really small parcel that sits just to the northeast of the town of Lodi proper. Ryan Sherman, who's the winemaker, and his partner Russ Fields really have honed in a love for Rhone varieties. And the Syrah that's planted on the estate is a great opportunity for them to make some wines from them.
You know, just I have to tell you, the nose and palate for Syrah Sparta. I mean, it's red flowers, white pepper. There's a broad range of fruits. There's sanguine, there's iron, blood, and then very, very savory type herbs. There's a lot of torrefaction from oak, but it's a very rich and yet complex, very layered nose.
Absolutely, and I think, you know, it's one of those that these vines are not real young. They're about 25, 26 years old, somewhere in that ballpark. So they've had some age and time to mature. There's the ability for them to get in. All of the vines are harvested by hand. Very, very small lot production. They're very hand tended all the way through the process. And really, Ryan's philosophy is to allow these, I think, have been through native fermentation, and really to just kind of let the fruit come out. And I think with the little bit of the oak that it spent time with, expresses and complements the fruit really, really quite nicely.
How much has Syrah really increased in plantings over the last, say, 10, 15 years? Kyle, what do you think?
I think we saw a surge of planting probably 10 to 15 years ago, and then I think we've actually kind of seen it stabilize or slightly taper off in our region. I think it mostly has to do with just the fact that it's widely grown globally, and there seems to be a fair amount of competition out there. So
Sure.
Do you see it in blends?
We do. There's a lot of it is going into the red blends that are so popular right now. That's where a lot of the Syrah from the region that's being grown is going into. But you know, we have so many grapes that we do grow here in the region. In fact, what a lot of people don't realize about Lodi is that we're the leading grape grower of a number of your favorite varietals, including Cabernet, Merlot, Zinfandel, Petit Syrah, Sauvignon Blanc, and Chardonnay, amongst many others. But the majority, that is where we are really working in, is those big fighting varietals, and we're the leading grape grower of those in the state of California here in our neck of the woods.
Yeah, well, Zinfandel is no surprise, but it's interesting to note that that there's other mainstream varieties that Lodi is really the place. A couple of interesting questions here. I'm not sure who they're from. In this one, it's an open-ended question. I'm going to throw it out there and see what you think. What will help Syrah become more mainstream? That's not an easy one.
That's not an easy answer at all. You know, I think one of the beauties of wine is that there is such a broad portfolio for people to enjoy. And I think it's about experimentation. I think Syrah is a great variety. I think it's a wonderful grape, beautiful expression in a number of different styles in the bottle. But I think it's one of those that really it's about people experimenting and finding it. Organizations like the Rhone Rangers have done a great job of really trying to elevate and heighten the awareness of grapes like Syrah and the other Rhone varieties. But I think it's just about people finding it and finding that it can go with a number of different kinds of foods. It can be enjoyed. It can be enjoyed with a touch of coldness to it. It doesn't have to be room temperature, and it just develops and changes throughout the course of enjoying the glass. So I think over time, it's just a matter of people really experimenting and trying out different varieties.
Kyle, what do you think?
Oh, I would agree. I mean, it's a wonderful variety, and I think it fits well in the portfolio of wines out there in the market today. And I think it really does come down to the consumer and what their tastes and preferences are, and why it hasn't taken off and exploded out there is it's a question that
Well, forever and a day, it seemed like the public was in love with very inexpensive, commercially mass-produced Australian Shiraz.
Right.
which is almost like winemaking by recipe. But this, however, and you made an excellent point, where the styles of Syrah / Shiraz are pretty broad.
Absolutely.
And it's like, I think of Northern Rhone Syrah, and that's ground up drink. It's very sanguine, it's very savory, can be very bready, very dry, very mineral driven, and yet perfumed, and yet big Australian Shiraz, the really good wines, completely opposite end of the spectrum. And so a lot of California wines fall somewhere in between. This is kind of the best of both worlds. This is really very bright, beautiful fruit, but all the high tone aromatics of Syrah. I don't know, to be honest, to answer that question. I don't know what it will take. The one thing I think Syrah lends itself well to blends, and then something that not many people have tried is just Cabernet Syrah blends, because the Australians said they're beautiful wines. So that's something. But I think to your point, it's your point also. It's a matter of the public just taking to the wines, because to me they can be very versatile.